So, 2025 is over, and I want to take a look back on some of my sketches and expand on them. These are my sketchbooks. Yeah, I like to draw a lot even though I'm not very good at it. But don't worry, I didn't fill out all these sketchbooks in the last year. I actually lost one of these smaller ones. I left it on top of a car and drove off without it. But also, this big one is half from 2024 and half 2025. And this other big one is only a few pages into 2025. So I didn't really draw that much. So I'll briefly go through the sketchbooks. I'm not going to dwell on them for too long because for the most part, the drawings are uninteresting. The big books are mostly copies of other people's drawings, and a lot of that is naked anime girls. So I need to be careful flipping, or else editing me is going to have a lot of work censoring stuff. Okay, so this page is okay. These drawings in the top here and this one and these are copies of other people's drawings, so they tend to be a little bit better. These three are mine, so you can see the quality drop quite a bit. Oh, okay. Yeah, this page is really bad. Perspective practice. Scandalous. That part, don't worry about that part. The small books are my travel books, so a lot of drawings are like stuff I see around me. They're also the books other people will look through, so I keep the drawings more appropriate. But yeah, occasionally I will sketch something original, and I want to play with those drawings for this video. Let's start with this one. I think I was trying to draw an elf and I messed up her face. And since I don't believe in erasing, I just drew a new face over it and gave her 4 eyes. I like this, so I made more variations. I'm gonna work on this idea. A 4-eyed fire elf. So I did some sketches and here is my sheet of bad designs. I started out with this idea of giving her 4 arms, which with 4 eyes, I guess makes her a Ben 10 alien, but she can also shoot fire, so 2 Ben 10 aliens. I couldn't really get it to work. I'm already bad at drawing poses, now add 2 more arms. Like, what are the other arms supposed to do? Have you ever been in like a social situation where you don't know where to put your hands to look natural? Yeah, now imagine having 4 of that. So I moved on and then tried to give her some character. I thought, what if she were evil? And I tried making her enraged and fighting people. Didn't like that. Then I thought, what if she were cursed? So I tried this idea that she was actually human with missing eyes, and these 4 eyes were like actually little fireballs. I like the idea, but I couldn't really feel it yet. Like, how did she end up this way? Looking through my sketchbooks, I have these sketches of a druid shaman looking lady and another blindfolded lady. I figured I could use these. This time I decided to actually properly design a character instead of blindly trying, which means iteration. I started with heads because they're easier for me. First, I tried tying her hair back and adding a headdress, and I liked that a lot, but I wanted to try more variations. So, next, I went with a blindfold and hood. I like the blindfold, but not the hood, so I combined the headdress and the blindfold, and I like this one. Sold. Now, the sucky part, the clothes. I'm really bad at clothes, I don't know how to draw them, and I don't know fashion. It's a large reason why I mostly draw naked people. But here's a cool trick. If you don't know how to draw, get enough references and you can pretend you can. So I got a bunch of references on Pinterest and started iterating through versions. The one I ended up liking was this robe-like top over a long skirt with a sash holding it all together, and a short cape with fuzzy shoulders. Time to properly draw the character. So while sketching the character, I started wondering, if she's a priestess, what is she worshipping? And I was like, what if there was a god that looked like that fire elf, but this time I was gonna make a dude fire elf, and she gets fire powers from him. So I added him to the drawing. Now this was supposed to be a really quick sketch, but I ended up spending a lot of time rendering, so I had a lot of time to think of a backstory for the two. Not only do they have a priestess and god relationship, but they're also lovers. Ho ho! Raunchy. So in the beginning, the priestess was born blind and with white hair, so she was seen as cursed and abandoned to die. However, she manages to survive by learning to navigate the world without sight, and she develops like a spiritual sense of the world, and it's really cool. One day she bumps into the god crying alone, The god is a child because in this world, the god's development is tied to their power and that's tied to the amount of worship they have. The girl gets the attention of the god, and the god is shocked she can see him, but tells the girl to stay away. He's the god of ruin. Everyone near him gets cursed. In fact, the girl's circumstances are probably caused by him. She approaches him anyway and says he didn't curse her. She's able to interact with the world in a unique way because of her condition. If anything, she was given an opportunity. He may be the god of ruin, but he's also the god of rebirth. The god stops crying and looks at her. That's stupid, he says, but the girl drags him away. She gathers other outcasts and orphans and establishes a new community and convinces the god to bless them. Many years later, they have a thriving town and they have a temple for the god, and the girl serves as the priestess. Yeah, I ended up with quite a lot of backstory, which is good because now the drawing is almost complete. I cannot stress how annoyed I am with how long this drawing took. I wanted to spend like an hour. I ended up spending 7. A whole hour was just on the feet and hands, and they still don't look good. I'm so peeved. I ended up adding a background. I wasn't planning on adding a background, but I spent so much time on this dumb drawing. Another 15 minutes for a background is nothing. So the big question now is, how does she end up as that evil fire elf monster thing? Well, the nearby villages notice this thriving town of misfits and realize they worship the god of ruin. These demon worshippers must be committing atrocities for their success. So they pillage the town, killing everyone and destroying everything. They get to the temple and capture the priestess. They gouge out her heretical eyes, rip off her limbs, and burn her corpse. The god returns to the aftermath and is devastated, and in his anguish, he rips out his heart and plunges it into the priestess's corpse. And as he dies, the priestess's corpse transforms into a monstrosity hell bent on bringing ruin to the world. So, yeah, I drew a scene for that. Unfortunately, I don't have a full time lapse because when I started, I didn't like where the drawing was going and gave up. But after I stopped recording, instead of stopping, I was like, what if I tried this? And I ended up finishing the drawing. So, there are 2 versions. I have an 11 by 17 and a 16 by 9. I think the wider shot looks better. It gives the elements room to breathe instead of feeling so cluttered. It also feels a bit more cinematic. I also ended up going with 2 arms because I couldn't get the 4 arms to work. My favorite part are these 2 skulls back here. This guy is going like, dang, she got you too. And this guy is like, oh, because his jaw fell off and he can't talk. I don't know, I like drawing skulls. But yeah, I like the story quite a bit actually. It feels very Lisa from Castlevania meets Pochita from Chainsaw Man. Also, as someone who's never played Dark Souls, I feel like she could make a pretty good Dark Souls boss. Like, at the end of the world, when everything is dead or dying, she's still roaming around, aimlessly causing destruction, and you have to fight her and put an end to her misery. I like it. It's dark, tragic, and depressing, just like my mental health. It's also fun that the priestess of ruin and rebirth is reborn to create ruin. I don't know if that's poetic, but it's definitely ironic, which is just as good. Anyway, I figured this story would be best adapted as a one-shot manga or short story, and I thought it wasn't really possible to go longer than that. And as I thought that, I ended up writing a whole synopsis for a short novel. There's 11 chapters, and wait, I wrote 2 pages for this? I completely forgot. Why am I like this? Anyway, I've blurred it out, so you can't steal my ideas. I think I could make an okay webcomic, but there's no way I can make that now. My stupid drawing took 7 hours. It'd take forever to just make 1 chapter. But keep your eyes peeled for a webcomic drop in 5 years when I'm good enough to keep pace. It's gonna have 100 chapters in 2 seasons. After all that, I wanted to go back to the original idea of a 4-eyed fire elf, and I really wanted to work on composition, so I came up with this. I titled it Another Successful Harvest. I ran into so many issues with this drawing while working on it. I made a quick sketch and tried to go straight into the render, but soon realized all the structure was wrong, and I ended up reworking the whole thing 2 more times. Ultimately, I managed to fix it by using my doll as a reference. Use references, guys. After that, there were just a bunch of small hurdles, like perspective issues with the epaulettes. Epaulettes?
Epaulette.
Epaulette. I also ended up redoing the whole background, and honestly, I'm still not a fan, but it's something I guess. The last thing I fixed was her dress bra thing. It wasn't in perspective, so I had to move it. There's less underboob now, so sorry about that, but it looks better to me. I have two big problems with this drawing. The first is that it's too evenly saturated. Like, if I pull up a saturation map, there's no forms and it almost hurts to look at. The second issue I have is I wanted to draw an anime girl, and she's not anime. She's in this like weird semi realistic phase and it sucks. I don't like it. Also, I just noticed this drawing is practically the same compositionally as the previous one. Look, there's a foreground dude. The lady is in the midground, standing menacingly with her arm outreached, and she's holding another dude by the head. I'm so uncreative. Oh my god. I wanted to do one more drawing focused on correcting the issues of the previous one, better saturation control, and I want to draw an anime girl, god damn it. I have this sketch that for whatever reason came out really good and I want to use it as a base. Keeping with the theme of like pagan worship, I thought, what if this was an alternate universe where my priestess girl was evil and did some messed up rituals like human sacrifice? So the drawing is gonna be her proudly holding the head of her victim. For this drawing, I want to try having more structure before rendering because I had to constantly rework the previous drawings due to bad planning. To do this, I wanted to do a better value study before coloring. I still messed up a bunch though. The theme this time is bobblehead. Like, here, I had to fix her head because it's too dang large. Even now, it's still large and I have to fix it again. This is gonna happen like another 5 times. Aside from that, the biggest hurdle I run into is once again the anime face. I start rendering and make this horror. I tried importing the sketch to fix it, but that doesn't work, and I just go back to trying to follow what I had originally, and it still looks weird. I stepped away and came back later and managed to solve it by moving her eyebrows and mouth. Apparently, they were too high, and lowering them fixed the proportions. With a passable face, I started playing around with her expressions. First, I gave her an open mouth smile based on the sketch, and I like that a lot. Next, I realized her eyes were too wide to be looking down, so I lowered her eyelids. It works pretty well, but I'm not a huge fan, so instead I tried having her look forward, and I like that a lot more. She looks kind of sinister. So I leaned into it and gave her these pale snake eyes. Yes, I'm sold. She looks so evil. I want to lean into this harder. So I gave her tats. Tattoos make everything cooler. And because she's evil now, she's allowed to be cool. I have this working theory I spent a whole 2 minutes on. If you have a main character who is a good person and you want people to like them, they cannot be too cool. If they're an anti-hero or a villain, they can be cool. But a hero protagonist must be bland. They have to be someone everyone can like. They have to be vanilla. Like Luke Skywalker is a hero protagonist and he's boring. He'd only be nice as a brother. Compare him to Han Solo. Han Solo is cool. Now that's boyfriend material. But everyone likes Luke because he's vanilla. Now, this isn't to say heroes can't have cool features. No, see, heroes have a coolness budget. Every cool feature a hero has must be offset by something lame, like sandpaper to edges. For example, Aang has tattoos. That's inherently cool. But he's a hero. We need to offset this. So we make him a big, wimpy crybaby who's too scared to take on responsibility. Now he's not cool, even though his tattoos are. Now he's vanilla. And everyone likes Aang. Alternatively, the Aang from the live action movie has cooler tattoos and is more angsty instead of wimpy. He's edgier, with less sandpaper, not vanilla, and everyone hates him. Now, the next part of my theory is that heroes can be cool, but only at the end of their story. Like Aang facing Ozai is one of Aang's coolest moments, and it works because it's the end. But in the story, Aang's development is mostly done after season 2. He's gonna be too cool for season 3. How do we offset this? Make him grow hair and force him to cover his tattoos. Whew, that edge has been sanded off. And I know, you might be like, oh come on, covering his tattoos doesn't do that much. But what happens when he shaves his hair? That's right, he goes around stealing kisses from girls. We've released a monster. But it's okay, Aang is about to confront the Fire Lord, the climax is gonna happen. Nope, we have half a season left. What do we do? Okay. For one episode, we focus on how bad he is at firebending and have him get stuck in sludge so he looks lame. Then we just have him be a background character until the finale. There. Wait, the finale is 4 episodes? Okay, have him disappear to another dimension until the final battle. Problem solved. And that's my theory. I only have 2 data points and I refuse to take any more in fear of shaking my already shaky foundation. Anyway, why did I spend like 2 minutes analyzing Avatar? I'm supposed to be drawing. For the jewelry, I use the Sam Does Art technique, which I believe is a Wallop technique, where you block out shapes and use masking layers to paint light reflections. I usually don't like using masks, but it makes jewelry so easy and effective. For the background, I originally wanted to have these bone totems and bonfires, but I didn't like how noisy they were, so I tried making some shapes that can highlight her, and I ended up not liking any of them and settled for a big U because I'm not creative. I tried adding in some skulls on spikes because I like skulls, but it again makes things too noisy, so I take them out. I turned the pillars of the U into like runic totems by scribbling random curves onto them. The last thing I do is fix the perspective. I was trying to do this wide angle lens thing, but it doesn't work, so I narrow it and make it more like a typical 1 point perspective. And that's pretty much it. There's a bunch of small adjustments I make off camera, like I changed her tats a bit. There's this like flower looking thing here, and a happy little sun on her shoulders. Just a little Easter egg for myself. Anyway, I also added a vignette. A vignette?
Vignette.
Vignette? I added a
Vignette.
to focus on her and make the severed head more subtle. And I also added a glow. Overall, I'd say this drawing is a success. First, it's actually kind of an anime girl, so that's a win. But also, if I turn on the saturation maps, you can see there's actual forms made by the saturation, like the background separates from her, and her hair frames her face, and the sky frames her hair. You can also see forms from the ambient light, which just adds like a layer of nuance that wasn't there in the previous drawings. I just made a smiley face. Whoops. Anyway, I do have some actual gripes with the drawing, but I can't really figure it out. It just feels wrong on the structural level. I think it's just a skill issue, really. Okay, so I ended up basically just working on one sketch idea, the fire elf. I have more. I just spent so much time on these drawings that I couldn't get to them within a reasonable time for a video called a 2025 review. I mean, it's already February. I had this whole sketch about a moving mechanical spider castle, and I started iterating through ideas. There's one that's a beetle, and the pilot is an anime girl with robot arms. There was no way I could fit them without compromising on the drawings. And I want to prioritize the drawings. So I'll be doing those another time. But yeah, this year I really want to focus on improving my drawing skills. So unfortunately, more videos will be like this, more about art and with fewer but higher effort drawings rather than a bunch of doodles. I might still throw a nonsensical video out here and there, but no promises. Anyway, I'll end off with a small story. So, I'm not a huge fan of all the year end wraps all these social media apps have now, but one I quite like is the Spotify Wrapped because it has a listening age based on the music you listen to, which is fun. My friend sent me his and he had a listening age of 36, and I was like, ha, unk, be careful with those knees. But then I checked mine and my age was 74. He may be unk, but I'm about to die. I'm a boomer with no boomer privilege. Where's my Medicare? My Social Security that they're gonna take away? I want my house and pension, please. Apparently, I listen to the Beatles too much. But anyway, for this year, I want to raise that number, so I've been listening to only classical music. I'm trying to see if I can get to 300. I don't think it's possible, but I'm gonna try. But yeah, this has also created a side effect of having me develop a fondness for classical music. I'm quite a fan now. Highly recommend.